And welcome to our community. Susie Thomas visiting with Carrie Weigley this morning. She is the program director of Camp Tippecanoe. Good morning.
Good morning, Susie. How are you?
Good, thank you, and thanks for being with us. Carrie, I understand that you and your husband are very involved with the camp. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, actually, my husband and I have been running the camp for, now this will be our 10th summer in a row. And Scott is the director, and I get to be program director and camp mom and all those sorts of fun things.
So what would entice a couple to spend 10 years doing this together? You guys must love camp.
We do love camp. Actually, we find it to be kind of our purpose or our mission in life. We decided quite a long time ago that camp was a place for kids to feel comfortable with who they are and find themselves, and it's for them to find connections, to build character, to learn all of those things that they don't necessarily learn about outside in the real world, or even in schools, like how to make a friend. I mean, we have classes on how to make a friend. Can you believe that?
Wow.
But yeah. But so we kind of believe that it's our mission or our purpose to make future peacekeepers and world leaders, and that's what we're doing.
Wow, much higher calling than just, crafts and canoeing.
Exactly. I mean, those are the tools that we use, but yeah, we feel like we really have an important job, and that's what we do.
We certainly do. Let's not leave that for a second.
Okay.
I'm very curious as to, as a program director, where you are intentionally thinking, what kinds of programs can I do to teach children how to make a friend? Let's take that one. What would you do?
Sure. Okay, so we actually teach our staff during our staff training. We use a book called Stepping Stones to Building Friendships, and we teach them step by step, how to teach a kid how to join in a group. If there's a group of kids playing on the playground, how do you ask to join in? Who do you look for the friendly face, and who do you ask, and what's your timing? Like, how do you break that down? We actually talk to them about that stuff, and we talk to them about how to not be a victim of a bully, rather than talking to them about the after effects of that, but how to start out, how to make friends with people, and how to understand that hurt people, and that's the reason why that you look for the compassion and think about why somebody would hurt someone else, and then try to figure that out, so that those sometimes those kids are just looking for a friend.
It's amazing to me that we've come to a point in society that we must teach this.
Yeah.
From your perspective, why?
Well, if you think about it, a lot of kids have their thumbs and their eyes on one little device. And, I mean, we all do, right? We can't. It's something we can't help.
Yeah.
But a lot of kids miss that connection. They've forgotten it or lost it. We all have. But sometimes you just need to put that away, and sometimes you just need to connect with people. And sometimes when you've forgotten how to, you need to learn how to do it. And
so you're saying that 1,000 text messages a day and all the time on Snapchat or Instagram or whatever is not forming authentic friendships, and that we need to teach children how to be face-to-face?
Yeah. It's how to break down those barriers between us, how to get through the walls, and how to love each other.
So my guess is then no phones at camp? What's the rule?
We don't do phones, but we don't really have to make a rule necessarily of it. It's just become our culture. Kids understand that when they get to camp, they don't really need their phone anymore. Staff are the same way. But not only that, I mean, we're about an hour south of here. And we're in Harrison County, which doesn't have a whole lot of connection as far as that's concerned. So we have that on our side, that we really don't don't have to worry about it as much. But because it has become part of the culture, kids don't really want their phones anyway.
What kind of response do you see? Well, you just said they don't want their phones.
Yeah.
What kind of response do you see in them? What kind of changes do you see in them from day one to the end of camp in this completely new culture?
Oh my gosh. Sometimes parents wouldn't believe it. Actually, we've had parents call and say, "What did you do to my kid? They came home and they want to do the dishes. I don't understand," or, they see the smile on a child's face. We've had, I've seen little girls who hadn't said 2 words before they came to camp to anyone because they were so shy, but there's pictures of them with these huge smiles on their face because they finally got to do something like ride a horse or talk to an adult who wasn't going to be harsh to them, or make a friend. And those are the kinds of differences that you see in kids even after just a week.
Wow. Is there any kind of follow-up then that happens?
Well, I mean, we get to see kids come back year after year, so that's a big thing. And then the year after, when they're a little bit more open or things aren't as tough for them. I mean, for goodness sake, I have a couple. Most of our staff were campers, and most of our staff went through our counselor and training program. So most of them come back, and some of them are those kids that wouldn't say 2 words, and now they're counselors, and they want to make a difference in the world, and they want to be teachers, and they want to be politicians, and they want to be, out there making a huge change.
Boy, isn't that the way?
It's very cool.
All from an amazing experience at camp.
Yeah.
Wow. Carrie Weigely and her husband Scott direct Camp Tippecanoe, but there is also Camp Wainoa and just multiple camps associated with the YMCA. Can you kind of give us a feel for everything going on?
Sure. We actually are associated with 3 overnight camps. We have Camp Wainoa, which is in Summit County. It's right kind of over the Stark and Summit line. We have Akron Rotary Camp for kids with special needs. So it's a camp specifically designed for kids that, have those needs. And then Camp Tippecanoe, and like I said, we're about an hour south in Harrison County, and we have lots and lots of land for kids to play on. We're on like 1,100 acres, so we have kind of a big playground. But then there's also all the day camps, and day camps are pretty much just as powerful as overnight night camps on that aspect of building friendships.
What age groups are you serving, Carrie?
Overnight camp starts at age 7 for the most part, though we do mini camps that start at age 6. And age 6, they can come away just for a couple of nights. And then day camps, I believe most of the day camps start at age 5, some of them maybe 6.
Oh, my goodness. All right. I want to know more about the Akron Rotary Special Needs Camp.
Sure.
What kinds of equipment and so forth? How are they making camp adaptable to every child?
Oh my goodness, you should see this camp. It's right over on the Portage Lakes, and it is gorgeous. It's only on kind of like 2 acres, but the facilities they have and the amount of support that they have from the Rotary Club and just everything it's amazing, and what they can do and how they help people. And they even have like sibling weeks where they invite campers to come with their or siblings to come with their campers that have special needs. They have respite weekends where they have time away just on the weekends to help give mom and dad a little bit of time that they need, because sometimes that's hard for them to take care of kids all the time that have those special needs.
So what kinds of equipment? Because it's really exciting to think about.
So I believe, let's see, I know that they have I spent a lot of time in what's called the sensory room, which is pretty cool. It's just a room that's developed for those kids that have, some sensory disorders, and they can just go take a break there and spend some time there. It's just one big room full of all of this really cool stuff that just gives them a chance to give their brain a break. They have this really neat little place that's a nature center where the kids can take time with animals. Like I was holding a bearded dragon when I was there a couple days ago.
Wow.
Which was cool. And the kids get that chance to make that connection with the animals. And I know they have some different kinds of equipment they can climb on and play on there. They do, of course, fishing, and it's right beside the lake. So there's like pontoon boat rides and all kinds of cool stuff like that the kids get to do. I mean, it's basically like the camp that we do, with archery and all sorts of that stuff like that. They just do as much as they can and make it adaptable for everyone.
That's just awesome.
Yeah,
really
actually,
awesome.
I think they their mission or their motto is trying to make a world where there are only abilities, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
That's the way to think of it.
Yeah.
Now, you contacted us because there is a military grant. Tell us what opportunities are happening here.
Yes, this is actually through YMCA Camp Tippecanoe. We have what's called an access grant. So that's basically, there was money given specifically to bring kids to camp that wouldn't otherwise have a chance to do that. So they financially can't, maybe their parents can't afford it or what have you. So we decided that we would go after this grant specifically for families of military families, anybody that is in either the reserves or that's already deployed, even recruiters, anyone that is of a branch of the military. They can send their kids for a week to camp, and it's just for the $75 deposit that we would normally ask, everyone else, and they can send their kids for a week just for that.
Wow, and that includes everything?
Yep, everything for a week.
How do people get in touch with you? How do they take advantage of this?
Okay, so they actually do have to call us to take advantage of this because I have to kind of set it up in the system a little bit different of a way. But so they would want to give us a call at our 800 number, and then we can let them know a little bit more about it. And then all we really need is that a picture of proof of identification from the military to let us know that they really are part of a branch.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people might sign up right away.
Yes, and they can
Yes.
certainly do that right over the phone.
That's awesome. Okay. Oh my gosh. Yeah, take advantage of that. I'm guessing that you, as a child, had an awesome camp experience. What made you love this?
I really did. I actually grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and my experience was a little bit different than the camps here offer, but I had an experience at family camp. So I went with my family. And so during the daytime, we would kind of go away for sort of like a little bit of a day camp, and our counselors would take us to do all sorts of fun stuff there at that camp. And then, parents would do things like go get massages or take a sailing class or all sorts of fun stuff like that, too.
Yeah.
And then in the afternoons and then the evenings, they would do things that were specifically to get families back involved and together. So I loved it. It was fantastic. And I started that when I think I was about 5 and then didn't stop. I went all the way through. I was a counselor in training at 15.
Wow.
Yeah.
So spent your summers as a camp counselor then?
Then after that, I was a camp counselor, and that's actually where my husband and I met.
What a cool camp love story.
Yes, it's true.
And then those experiences had to inform how you develop programs? You pick the best of and...
Right.
And,
Yep. Yeah, we did. So we, getting to experience that was fantastic. And then also over and over again, seeing the creativity from our staff that came in and letting that help to develop the programs that we'd made for the future. That was kind of how it worked.
So cool. Well, when we're talking about camp, and we are visiting with Carrie Weigley from Camp Tippecanoe, which, tell me, did somebody tip a canoe? Is that how that got named? Or where did this name come from? Or is it an Indian name? Or do we know?
So I do know the story, and it's actually not as interesting as you would think. Actually, kind of funny. The little town of Tippecanoe it's tiny. It doesn't even have a stoplight. It's tiny. And it was used to be named Millerton. And then when, remember the old slogan, Tippecanoe and Tyler too?
Sure.
When I think it was William Harrison ran for office, he was nicknamed Tippecanoe after the war that he fought on the Tippecanoe River in Indiana.
Okay.
So the town of Millerton decided they were going to change their whole town name in support of his candidacy for presidency. And so they changed the name to Tippecanoe. And now the little town is called Tippecanoe, and that's where we took our name from.
That is an amazing little bit of trivia.
Yeah, just tiny.
And trying to remember what I was going to ask you. Oh, yeah. When we're talking about camp, there's different levels of rustic.
Yeah.
Because I know when I went to camp, it was pretty rustic.
Right.
I took my family there one time. They weren't wild about it because they had gone to our church camp with, the air conditioning and the carpeting and the indoor plumbing. So tell us about what level of rustic are we talking about with the Y camps?
Okay, so with both, now Akron Rotary does have a little bit more of those accommodations. They kind of need to in some circumstances. However, Camp Wainoa and Camp Tippecanoe are very similar in the fact that it is kind of more on that rustic side. The cabins are just bunkhouses where the kids, come and stay, and there's probably another 9 campers in that cabin and a couple counselors, a CIT or so, and it's just pretty much 4 walls and some bunks. And then the bathhouses are a separate little ways away, and they get to go take their showers, and they do have showers, which is nice, with hot water in a place that's a little bit separate from that.
Pretty fun. We're going to find out more visiting with Carrie Weigley from Camp Tippecanoe after these words. You're listening to Our Community.